And was that on that set? Is that where you met your ex-wife, Annabelle?
No, I
No,
knew
okay.
Annabelle.
I noticed she was in there, and it
No,
kind
we
of
were already, I met Annabelle in 1990.
okay.
So I had known her for a long time before by the cable guy, we were going out for serious we were serious, or like we were about to be engaged or whatever. It's because we were engaged because we got married in 96.
Okay.
So no, I did not meet her then, because that would have been really quick. I met her in
Yeah.
Cable Guy and we're getting married in 3 months. I knew her for, it seemed like I knew her for 5 years. And that's what the book is about, really. It's about the book that we wrote is about the courtship, the elongated, strange courtship and story. And it culminated 5 years later in getting married and this life.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue actually. The next question in that was 2010, when you guys co-wrote the book together. It's called "You Say Tomato, I Say Shut Up," and I guess, can you tell us a little bit about what the book was, what the book is kind of about, and what that was like? Because from what I read, it was ultimately like a memoir.
Well,
In a,
it is. It's a memoir. That's
okay.
what it would be classified as, a nonfiction memoir, but and told in two different points of view. So it's a he
Okay.
said, she said. And so how we came to the idea, which is that the thesis was that two people could be in the same place at the same time and even in the same marriage and have two completely different experiences about what was happening. And that was us, right? Some people get married and they have this very sort of, co point of view, and we had polar opposite points of view.
Hmm.
And I think that happens too, right? So there's something universal about it. So
Mhm.
what happened was is that I both Annabelle and I wrote first person kind of comedic essays that were life based for a show that Jill Soloway, now Joey Soloway, created called Sit and Spin, was connected to Comedy Central in their workspace, and then writers, mainly writers, would go and tell their first person stories to an audience. And it was, up until the pandemic, it was like 27 years of this stuff. So I wrote an essay called, it sounds awful now, Back to the.
I know I like it.
I like
I don't know if you don't think you can say the P word any
apple
longer.
cheer. Yeah, no,
Um,
Trump ruined that.
I won't say it any longer, but it was essentially what it was about how the labyrinth of different things I had to go through in order to have sex with my wife.
And this is in the book?
Yeah, this was what started the book. So I wrote this piece about just how incredibly difficult and trying it was, and the frustration and insanity and that it elicited in my response. And it went over very big, but she was on the bill and had no idea I was doing that night, because it was like a surprise. And so she came out and she was like, "My husband, the great fiction writer." So she was like, "I can't." We had a very competitive marriage, which I don't advise anybody to have. So she wrote a counter to that, which was like, "Why?" And from that, it snowballed into this book of like, how do we look at sex? How do we look at finance? How do we look at parenting? How do we look at grocery shopping? How do we look at the future? How do we look at finances? And so it's just like, I would write or how do we see our courtship? I saw it this very romantic way, and she just thought it as like, he's nuts.
Mhm.
So we have this back and forth in the book, and that naturally sort of segued into us performing it, and that became a play.
Oh, nice.
And so we developed a theatrical play that had a run of like over 5 years, but we were the ones who initiated the characters. So it's my ex and I on stage recreating our book that recreated our marriage So we're actually in scenes from our own marriage, acting in the past. And it's like, whoa,
So meta. It's so meta.
so meta. And then somebody else, was like, well, we're not going to do this any longer because we can't, we have a kid to raise and we can't be on the road like that. So 2 other people became Jeff and Annabelle.
I have a follow-up question, and please feel free to just say skip it if you want to. But I want to get ahead of any comments out there. Or if like somebody like, I don't want to pick this book up, because it didn't work out for them. Almost like the guy who was the founder of Herbalife dying from health-related issues. Do you mind if I ask what happened?
Well, I think in the book, we all say through the book, like, look, we're probably going to get divorced. So, and we also say the thing that you have to learn from this book is very simple. Do not have a marriage like ours. We're very frank.
So it's a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
It's a cautionary tale.
Okay.
I think anybody who reads it will not be surprised that the 2 people who wrote it are no longer together.
If you want to find out how to avoid divorce, talk to somebody who's been through it. That's
Yes.
Good, solid.
It's only I only say that in with a lot of good feelings and about Annabelle and how talented she is of a writer and a performer.
Why don't you subscribe? It'll last longer.